Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show, Wednesday, February the 30th. And Cameron Skee Prophet ready to break down the Wednesday NBA card. Always a busy slate on Wednesday, so let's get right down to business here. A good one of two teams that are expected to be playoff teams in the East, Indiana, Milwaukee. We've got the Bucks, 8.5, 9-point favorites, 233 the total. Credit to Skee. We'll do the old golf clap. He liked Milwaukee against Portland the other night. And that was a very, very good call. Milwaukee just drilling the Blazers in that game, winning comfortably, wire-to-wire job for the Bucks. We'll see if they can carry it over here to an Indiana team that ended Memphis's 7-game win streak last night with a very nice blowout win against the Grizzlies. Where was that great closeout to the basketball game that you couldn't give me on Sunday against the Sixers? But that's another story, Indiana. I'm going to finally put that one behind me at some point. But yeah, Indiana, give them credit. A good basketball game from them, ending a red-hot win streak for the Memphis Grizzlies. Second night of back-to-backs now for the Pacers. We'll have to see how they are reacting and responding to that. Miles Turner's status a little bit up in the air, questionable tonight for the Pacers. And I mentioned that because I've said before, when Turner's out, I like to look at overs involving Indiana. So that's definitely something I've got circled if he doesn't play. If he does play, even then, you've seen Indiana play some higher scoring games. The defense hasn't been necessarily as good the last few games. Milwaukee is scoring a ton of points, and we've talked about their defensive shortcomings in recent games. Now, they did bear down and play better defense after they kind of called each other out that they needed to be better at that end of the court against Portland, and they were. But because they scored so damn much, that game still flew over the total with plenty of room to spare. So right now I'm kind of on the fence, but I'm kind of leaning over, especially if Miles Turner is not in tonight for the Pacers. Skee, what do you think here, Pacers versus Bucks?
You said you lean towards the Pacers, Ian?
Lean to the over, but okay. Especially if Turner doesn't play, because I find they play faster without him.
Yeah, and they'll play a lot less defense, or it won't be so much protection around the rim. But I'm looking at Milwaukee here. We just saw what Milwaukee did after they had everybody talking to each other. They came out focused, played a complete game. And I'm looking at the Pacers as a road dog versus 55% win teams are better with some of these kind of high lines bigger than -5. 5-16 against the spread. That's going back to 2019, at the beginning of 2019. So it's their fourth game in 6 days. Even if Turner is out, that's a bonus. Even if he's in, I think I still like Milwaukee here. So that's the way I'll go. The total, I don't really have a lean. I'll let you rock with that, Ian.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So there you go. Milwaukee for Skee, over for me, but I like the over more if Turner doesn't play more than anything. I might still bet it with him in there, but I wouldn't like it quite as much. Philadelphia, Charlotte, 6 or 7-point road favorites, 223, 224 the total. This total has been bet up a little bit. I kind of agree with that move with Philly and Charlotte. Philly is scoring, and we know they've improved defensively this year in the first year under Doc Rivers, no question. But Charlotte's finding a lot of success scoring right now. Charlotte we got to start paying attention a little bit to Charlotte. They're putting some things together, playing better ball against Miami, who's now a lot healthier. They had Hero in that game. Jimmy Butler's returned recently. And for Charlotte to just keep on battling, Skee, find a way against Miami the other night. I thought that was very impressive. And if I'm James Borrego, I'm very, very happy with what I'm kind of seeing from this team. They're sort of improving. They're maturing. They're getting better. I think now there's a lot of, Gordon Hayward among some new faces too with this Hornets team, and they're starting to figure things out a little bit. Not an easy team to bet against, catching 7 as a home dog, that's for sure. Can they hang in there with Philly? I kind of think they can. I certainly wouldn't want to go against the nice little run the Hornets have been on, even though this is going to be a good test for them against this Sixers team. I do lean to the home dog, and I lean over the total here in this one. Skee, what's your thoughts? Sixers versus the surging Hornets all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Joel Embiid actually got ruled in or out. I see him like not game time decision anymore. Maybe he's in for the game, but that's what I think is gonna help Philly out, because Charlotte doesn't really have anybody to challenge him down low. The only thing is Philly's not very good on the road, and like you said, Charlotte's been playing well. This is a big number. I would be looking to play Charlotte. Honestly, it's just I know in the back of my mind, Embiid can really eat in this game if he wants to. It's just a matter of if he's motivated to do so. So my number for the game is 5. And so I will be looking towards the Charlotte side.
Yeah, you're right about Embiid playing or not, how it's big in this matchup because of the PJ Washington injury for the Charlotte Hornets. And you look at the other bigs, B squared, as I like to call him, Bismack Biyombo, and Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller is always injured too. I mean, that's not exactly what I call trustworthy size in the low post to handle a guy like Joel Embiid. So I understand those concerns in the front court for Charlotte, minus PJ Washington tonight and moving forward for the Hornets. So, but I still lean to the Charlotte side a little bit, and also over 223.5. Clippers taking on the Cavs. The Clippers 8.5, 9-point road favorites, 219 the total in this game. Total's been bet up. It's basically stayed put around 9 here in this one. I've been pro Cleveland, and I bit the bullet again Monday night with a game that they were leading most of the way against Minnesota, but Minnesota just snuck inside the number in the final minute. But they did get the straight up win, Cleveland, not the point spread cover the other night in the second of the back-to-back games they had against the Timberwolves. But here they are again in this kind of role where they're getting a sizable number. They're not laying points. They're not getting only a couple of points. They're getting 9 against a very good Clippers team, obviously, but a Clippers team in a tough spot, very intense, emotional, physical game against the Brooklyn Nets last night. Much ballyhooed game. The big three of the Nets taking on PG and Kawhi of the Clippers, and they would definitely. You worry that they're going to just take out some frustration on Cleveland a little bit, but you also have to factor in that maybe if you're leaning Clippers, you're also worried to counterpoint that maybe they're a little exhausted and worn down physically, mentally a little bit after that huge, national TV game last night against Brooklyn. So you can go back and forth with this. Certainly Cleveland is still a team I'm reluctant to bet against. I still think there's good things on the horizon for the Cavs. We're waiting for a little bit better play on the road, more consistency, but at home, they've shown them more than capable. They gave the Lakers quite a go recently on this home court. They beat Brooklyn twice at home. So this is that kind of role, and we've seen data and evidence to point to Cleveland being able to hang tough at home against these A-plus elite level teams like the Nets, like the Lakers. So I lean Cleveland here. Skee, talk me out of Cleveland again because I can't stay away from this team apparently. What do you think?
Yeah, Cleveland's your favorite. I don't really see anybody on the injury report for the Clippers. I see Patrick Beverley even game time decision. And that makes me nervous. That makes me think that they're going to take the game seriously. But I don't think it's a great spot for the Clippers. It's just tough. They've been playing a lot of games lately. I think it might be their 6th game out of like maybe 9 or 10 days or something like that. So it's a tough spot for the Clippers. It's just tough. Cleveland's been burning me too much for me to put my money with them. This is a game that I'm just going to pass.
All right. I should probably do the same, to be honest with you, because I've had 3 in a row with the Cavaliers, and it hasn't been fun. But, man, am I tempted to see them getting the 9 because they've been in this spot before against these elite-level teams and cover the number. Maybe they do that again tonight. Washington, Miami. We've got the Heat, 9.5-point home favorites, 227.5 the total. I think Washington truly is that disgraceful that I know Miami has had, and I know Skee's had his issues with Miami, saying there's something wrong with this team. They're not playing all that great. But now they've had a few games to get some of these guys back. Hero, Butler now for a few games. Frustrating loss against Charlotte. But now they've got a team they can wipe out. And Russell Westbrook now isn't going to play tonight for the Wizards. They play no defense. I understand why Miami's taking the money. If you're good, and look, I've not been in a rush to lay points with Miami. Who would be with what we've seen out of the Heat lately? But if there's one spot you would hope and think that, maybe this is a night Miami could just put the boots to somebody, you would think it would be tonight, especially Washington in action last night against Portland in that very high pace matchup against the Blazers. So they're on the second of back-to-back games. It's not easy asked to say Miami go out there and win by double digits, but the Wizards could be bad enough where this could be the spot they do indeed succeed, winning by double digits. So I'm leaning to the Heat here, and I agree a little bit with this move going up. Skee, what do you think? Washington, Miami.
Yeah, I look more towards the side, and I agree with what you said. Washington is not going to play much defense at all, and they're going to play fast pace with or without Westbrook. I'm looking at their games. Going back to, I mean, looking at just this year with no rest in a game where they're shooting well in their last game, they shot better than 50%. The over is 4-0. This year is 14-3 going back to 2015. They're still not playing defense. They're still scoring. Westbrook or not, I like the over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say to someone, don't bet Washington over the total. I mean, I was on the over last night, Portland and Washington, and yeah, I said 240. I don't mind. You can you can put a number that high up out there all you want, and we saw it still fly over a total that was lined around 240 with the Blazers and the Wizards last night. Yeah, no defense. It's not like Miami's locking teams down right now either. I mean, we saw what Charlotte was able to do, carve them up, to be honest with you, offensively the other night. But I still think I'm going to look toward Miami as well in that game. I certainly agree with the over as well. Dallas, Atlanta. We've got Dallas 1.5, 2-point road favorites here, 223.5 the total. Man, that was tough for Atlanta. I mean, they were right there with the Lakers. They led a large part of that game, but sometimes that's what happens, though. You know, the Lakers, when they get in those close games and it's winning time. LeBron knows it. AD knows it. They've been here. They've done that. They know how to execute in crunch time, last few minutes of a close game. And it was all Lakers in that regard. It was like Laker basket, stop on defense. Laker basket, stop on defense. Laker basket, turnover Atlanta. And the next thing you know, there goes the point spread cover for the Atlanta Hawks in that game. And that game stayed under as well. And I think Skee liked the under as well in that Lakers-Atlanta game the other night. When you look at this game here with Dallas and Atlanta, total's gone up here. We're waiting for Dallas to flip the switch. Now this will be like the second or third game in a row where they really don't have to worry too much about any significant major injuries. So the time for talking is over. Time for excuses is over. I think this is a winnable, gettable game for the Dallas Mavericks, but I'm still leery of betting them here until they show me that they can get the job done. I'm seeing Luka Doncic pout and pound his fist against the announce tables and all this stuff with bad body language and frustration that is from not only his own performance, but his team step up and win a lot of these games lately. That's not a good sign. That's not necessarily the kind of, bet on confident type of body language I like to see out of my superstar player, when you're going through a rut like this. So I think the game's winnable. I especially when you look at the fact that Dallas has played a lot of good teams lately, Phoenix and Utah. I mean, they've played Denver. They've played a lot of really good San Antonio. They've played some good teams, tough schedule. You got a beatable Atlanta team here, but I don't know if I trust them enough. And so for me, it's a lean to the Mavs, but that's it. I mean, I'm going to have to see a win before I can pull the trigger on it. Skee, what do you think? Dallas, Atlanta.
I'm not doing it. You already know, Ian. They're going to have to show me first. And Dallas just looks terrible. I mean, their defense was a little bit better, but Atlanta's just been playing all around better than Dallas. It was a tough game, like you said, against the Lakers the other night. But outside of that, I like what I've been seeing. And the only way I can play this game is to play Atlanta. I think they'll probably win.
All right, like in the Atlanta Hawks, you're 1.5. They have been better lately. There's no question. I'll argue, though, that some of those wins were, not the greatest of competition. Then they play the Lakers. They'd fail and straight up in ATS. But Dallas ain't on that level right now. They're more of that. They're in between. They're not like a Washington, so to speak, but they're not like a Lakers. I thought for sure they're third or fourth best team maybe in the West behind LA, the two LA teams, and Denver, Utah. We haven't seen that out of Dallas. They're nowhere close to that yet. And they're going to need to, put a good streak together and solid play with everybody accounted for now, healthy again, before they can really be talked about, in that upper echelon of teams in the Western Conference. We got Houston and Oklahoma City. Skee, this pissed the hell out of me the other night because 10 minutes into this game the other night, I said, why didn't I take Houston? Because I said I was worried about the spot here for Oklahoma City, and that game was over. After the first quarter. I mean, it was a bloodbath. It was all Houston. They rolled past Oklahoma City. They've been bet up here 5-7, 222 the total. And that's the problem. Look, I passed on taking Houston the other night, and I should have. And now in the rematch, I'm laying more points on a night where John Wall's going to be rested. He's not going to play in this game tonight for the Rockets, although you can counter that with the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who a lot of nights is the catalyst offensively for the Oklahoma City Thunder, is out for this game tonight. That obviously is huge, because who are you going to go to? And you remember, you have George Hill is still out for the Thunder, and you kind of brought him into this team as a veteran guy to give you some secondary supplemental offense, and you don't even have him at your disposal. So where do you go to for points? Do you Al Horford in the low post? Beasley's going to have to do more. Lou against Dort, and we know what he can be like sometimes offensively. He can't hit the broadside of a barn, on some nights if he doesn't have that shooting going for the Thunder. It's limited team. I mean, you're going to need Hamidou Diallo, who's actually had some nice performances at times for the Thunder, to really help out as well. So, man, where do the points come from Oklahoma City without SGA on the floor tonight and moving forward? That's the concern for me. I won't be on OKC. I just worry that, I missed my spot for Houston, because now you're laying more points with Houston, 7 instead of 5 the other night. I think the way you could look in this game is under, and I agree with that move. 224 down to 222 in this one. I think this game's going to be played at a slower pace. Wall being out kind of hurts the rhythm offensively for Houston a little bit. We know the absence of Gilgeous-Alexander means that's a big hole in the Thunder's ability to score points. So this total being bet down makes a whole lot of sense to me. I would lean favorite, and I would probably lean even stronger toward the under in this game, with the total right now at 222. What's your thoughts, Skee, with Rockets Thunder?
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat too much of what you said, but the pace in general for the team scared me, but a lot of the pace is probably missing tonight, like you said. So I know Rockets have been playing defense. I know that we can count on them to do that tonight, and I don't think Oklahoma's offense will be that great. So I'm with you. I like the under. And as far as the side, it makes me nervous. If you like Houston, you probably want to bet them first half. And if you like OKC, the thing is, I have a couple. I like to bet on teams that are supposed to bounce back, that got embarrassed as a home dog, but I'm just not sure they can do that without Gilgeous-Alexander. So it's tough for me. If I have to play the full game, I would bet OKC, but I probably more so like the under.
Yeah, we agree. I mean, we definitely like the under in that one, and to me, it's just too tough to. And Houston again is a one-way team for me. They're bet on all the way. They've got the air cleared since they got rid of Harden, and you can tell that's when this little point spread streak started for the Houston Rockets. And I think it's because keep an eye on them moving forward. Eventually, you're going to lose some value, but I don't know if it's gotten there just yet. New York and Chicago, we've got the Bulls 2-point home favorites, 217 the total in this game. I cashed with Chicago the other night, took them. And again, we know the Bulls laying points can be somewhat a tricky proposition, but they got it done the other night in the first meeting against New York. I don't know if I want to tempt fate again. I'll take the win. It was also a tough spot for the Knicks because they were coming in on the second of back-to-backs. They had a home game early Sunday afternoon against the Clippers. So it was a really good scheduling spot for Chicago too. And the fact they pissed away the game against Portland on Saturday before the Monday night game against the Knicks. And I think that left them pretty much chomping at the bit, I thought, to focus, to bounce back, play a complete 48-minute game. And they did that against the Knicks. So I got my Chicago win Monday. I'm not going to go back to the well with Chicago here. But I don't know if I trust the Knicks to win in Chicago either, because I like this Bulls team. I like the way that Donovan's developed this young group. They play hard most nights. They don't always play well, particularly on defense. They don't always play well, but they do play hard. Their compete level is strong. I'm going to pass this game. I cashed my Chicago win the other night. I'm just going to take that money and leave this particular game alone here tonight. And it's from a total standpoint. If you like New York, lean under. If you like Chicago, lean over. I think that's probably the way you got to go here from a total standpoint. Skee, what do you like here with the Knicks and the Bulls?
I'm never going to be interested. I don't think ever for the rest of the season. I can't think of one team that I'll be interested in laying the points with the Bulls. So I have this game as a pick'em. And even with that said, I'm not really comfortable thinking New York is going to win. So if I had to play, I'm playing the New York side, but it's not something I run into the window to do.
College basketball, Taylor was on the last show. Just someone in the chat asking with Connor and I, the college basketball closing time show, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So if you missed that show, it's up on the Pub Sports Radio YouTube channel. So definitely don't hesitate to tune in and watch it if you missed it earlier this afternoon. Now, next up, we've got Minnesota and San Antonio. The Spurs, 8-point home favorites here, 223 and a half the total. Of course, DeMar DeRozan congratulating his former teammate, Fred VanVleet, for breaking his Raptor franchise record for number of points in a single game with his 54-point effort against Orlando last night. So DeMar chiming in on that, which was a class thing to do because it was DeMar's record that Fred VanVleet broke last night with that performance against Orlando. His Spurs back in action here. Minnesota, boy, that's twice in a row against Cleveland that Minnesota's taken some money away from me. So what do you make of this team? They are getting a lot of points, and I'll say this, they've been competitive these last couple of games against Cleveland, although I think you got San Antonio on a different level, at least a little bit from Cleveland. And I sure as hell do not trust Minnesota on the road. We've seen some ugly road performances. They finally covered against Cleveland, but still lost the game. And prior to that, they got blown out twice by Golden State, lost by 11 at Atlanta. And I think from a San Antonio standpoint, you look at these spots where you've got the better team in a spot where you don't think they're going to overlook the inferior opponent. And in this spot, I don't think San Antonio is going to overlook the inferior opponent off back-to-back losses against the Memphis Grizzlies. So this is a one-way game for me. I lay the points with the Spurs or I pass. I'm not gung-ho on the Timberwolves, even after they beat me twice against Cleveland the last two games. I think they're probably walking into what should be a very, very determined San Antonio team, trying to snap this little skid, get back on track against a team that they're flat out better than. So I would look San Antonio minus the points. Skee, what do you think? Timberwolves, Spurs?
This one is pretty tough. Very tough because San Antonio, I don't really love to lay. You got to expect them to win by double digits here. But at the same time, the number I have for the game is 8. So I guess it's right around where it should be. And I like what you said, Ian. I think you maybe bought me with that one, that we know San Antonio is not going to overlook Minnesota because they're coming off a couple of really bad losses. So in theory, they should be up for this game. So if I have to play, I will lean towards San Antonio as well. And as far as the total, both teams have been playing really fast. I probably would lean towards an over, but I probably prefer San Antonio.
Yeah, I like San Antonio. I mean, I hear you. It's no bargain here and we know San Antonio, trusting them in this greater favorite price range, where they're laying 8 or more. I'd have to go back and look, but I doubt they're better than 500, if that. ATS probably laying 8 or more this season when they've been in that kind of spot. But it's tricky. But I just think this is a night where and they are better than Minnesota. They've got a chance to maybe flex their muscle a little bit, win this game comfortably. So I do think I'll have some kind of bet here on San Antonio here, just given the spot, even though the price may not be the greatest. We've got Phoenix and New Orleans now. The Suns 3.5-point road favorites here, 222.5 the total in this game. The Phoenix Suns, a squad that certainly made a lot of additions in the offseason, no question, to make themselves better. Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, which was a great addition, all that playoff tenacity he gave the Miami Heat last year. And boy, they've went through a little struggle there, no question. They lost 2 in a row to Denver in overtime. They lost as well, and they lost to OKC. But remember, Devin Booker was banged up from those games. And all of a sudden, they've turned it around now, 3 straight wins. 2 against Dallas back-to-back, as well as a win against Golden State. So Phoenix have turned it around a little bit here. We'll see if they can keep it going against New Orleans. The Pelicans have struggled on this home court. There's no question. They're only 4-5 Skee straight up and 3-6 against the spread at home. They've had a difficult time. Phoenix has been good on the road. I can't help but lay the Suns. You've got ride the hot and fade not the cold, but the up and down. They're erratic. The New Orleans Pelicans here. And I don't want them to step in front of Phoenix. And again, with this game being lined near a pick'em, close game execution, Phoenix is showing you the last few. They've been executing in these close games and getting the job done. So I like Phoenix a little bit here. Numbers crept up to 3.5, but I still think there's a little value on the Suns. What do you think, Skee? Phoenix, New Orleans?
I don't think New Orleans is capable of playing a full game, or at least they haven't been. I want to say they start pretty good and then kind of fade, but I feel like sometimes it could be the opposite too. So I just don't trust New Orleans to play a complete game. I like Devin Booker back. I like how Phoenix has been looking lately. The number I have for the game is 5.5. I have to look towards the Phoenix Suns in this one. And New Orleans playing at the fastest pace now over the last 5 games. They're trying everything they can.
Yep.
And Phoenix, Chris Paul wants to slow it down, but the Devin Booker being back, they can light it up still. I think the total is kind of not really a bargain on this one, but I would lean towards the over.
Yeah, 222, and it's not a bargain from a Phoenix standpoint, that's for sure. We know they've played pretty solid defense. We know they've stayed under the total, and a lot of their games are in that 210 to 220. We haven't always seen Phoenix above 220 very often when it comes to their totals. So that it gives you some pause, but I hear what you're saying. You're right. New Orleans, you can throw all that stuff we said to you at the beginning of the season on this show, where defense from Van Gundy preaching that, and they're slowing it down. Well, they haven't. They've picked up again the last several games, and the defense has fallen back a little bit. Not Alvin Gentry Pelicans bad defense, but definitely not quite as good as they were showing very early in the season. So something to watch for moving forward with this Pelicans, that defensive end of the floor. Boston and Sacramento, final game on this Wednesday card. We've got Boston 1.5 point road favorites, 224 the total. I can't say this is a really good spot for either of these two teams going into this game. You've got Boston off the big win against Golden State last night, a TNT game. Now you're playing the second night of back-to-backs on the road. That's always, a concern. Although they've done, I think, pretty decently. The last time they were on back-to-back, they were home to Cleveland, and they won and covered. And then they were on the road at Chicago, and they won and covered 119-103. So their most recent example of playing the second night of back-to-backs, they got the job done. You've got Sacramento on the other hand. I'll give them credit. 3 of 4 on the road trip. They win. They beat New Orleans 118-109. They beat Toronto. They beat Orlando, and really could have went 4-0. Could have swept that road trip if not for that tough 1-point loss they had against the Miami Heat. So we'll give Sacramento credit. They picked it up, no question, the last 4 games. But again, we're talking about that familiar spot, first home game, off the road trip, always tricky, always dubious. I guess when push comes to shove, I still think Boston's a better team than Sacramento. You're only laying 1.5. That would have to be the side I look at, but I'm pumping the brakes just a little bit with this spot here for Boston here going into this game after the win against Golden State. And certainly from a totals perspective, Sacramento's just a over or nothing team for me right now. And I'm kind of perplexed at least a little bit. Maybe Boston's got the fatigue legs and the shooting legs are just not a little bit not where they should be playing back-to-back games. I understand that, but to see the total drop from 226.5 to 224 is a little bit surprising to me. I'm not sure I agree with that. What do you think, Skee, with this one, Celtics and Kings?
As you're talking, I'm looking it up, but maybe you can help me out a little bit on the. I'm looking on the back-to-back, second of back-to-back. The over is still 2-1 for Boston.
Yep.
So we're not. I'm not quite sure if they've been playing that many games. I don't think they have. They've been playing that many games lately. I know for Sacramento, the spot is a spot we like to fade. A flat spot for them. First game at home after the long road trip. And I also looked at or something that I looked at, and what I think about this one is it's kind of just tells me that the Kings just haven't been very good, where we expect them to win multiple games in a row. But it's the Kings off of a win on the road as a dog, and they're a home dog. 3-13 against the spread their last 16, 2-15 straight up.
Not good.
You're only asking Boston to win.
Yikes.
You're only asking Boston to win. And Boston without Kemba, they are 18-10 against the spread. I think they're 20-8 straight up. So I'm not really worried about that. I think I've been looking at this all day, Ian. I like Boston. I don't know why I haven't played it yet, but I like Boston. And with Sacramento, it's over or nothing. I knew this one was going to go down. So I just been waiting and looking at it, and it looks like it's still creeping down. So if I end up playing it, I'm just wait for the as low as it can go.
I agree. I've waited out. I mean, it's already gone down to 224, the total. I don't know if it goes lower than that, but it certainly has gone down a bit. So there's no rush to get out there and bet the over, but I'm with you. I'm leaning Celtics and even with the back-to-back, because it's a dreadful spot. There is no Walker. It's load management night for him. They just, he's getting back slowly from a significant injury, and Brad Stevens wants to be careful with him. So he's out tonight. Marcus Smart's still out, but hey, you've still got, it's not like without Kemba Walker that all of a sudden you've got nobody can put the ball in the basket. Not when you have a Jaylen Brown and a Jason Tatum on your team. They're more than capable of stepping up and doing even a little bit more here for the Boston Celtics. Yes, Tatum is in. At least I don't even see him as questionable right now. He's playing tonight from the looks of it. Same with Jaylen Brown. It looks like it's just Pritchard's been out for a while, the rookie out of Oregon. So that's not a shock. And it's Walker and Smart that are out tonight for sure for the Boston Celtics. So Skee and I are on the same page. We haven't bet it yet, but we're definitely looking at Boston in the over if we get involved in this one. That's going to wrap it up. We've gotten through the entire Wednesday NBA card here on the Closing Time Show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. As always, reminder, we do the NBA Closing Time Show 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The 3 busiest days of the week, the 3 biggest cards of the week in the NBA are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's why we picked these 3 days, 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific for the NBA Closing Time Show. And make sure you're with us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Super Bowl prop show. Looking forward to it. I got all my props. I've got most of them circled. I'll be mentioning on the show that I'm looking at. We'll have me, Skee, Connor Mack, and Donnie Rightside on the show tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here on Pub Sports Radio. Super Bowl prop betting extravaganza. Make sure you tune in and join us for that. Skee, let's do it. Best bet for Wednesday night. What do you got for us?
I'm looking at them all, but just the current numbers really quick. And I guess I'll go with some of these things are changing. I'll go with Milwaukee minus the 8.5. We'll see if Turner's out. It's a bonus. Like I said, they've been playing too many games lately. 4th game in 6 days. And I don't really like the Pacers versus better competition. So I think the Bucks will be focused after their speech and everything and how they played last game. So give me the Bucks.
All right. Liking Milwaukee minus 8.5. The little, meeting with the team, it worked against Portland, and they catch Indiana the second night of back-to-backs as well. Skee going to lay the 8.5 here with Milwaukee against Indiana for his best bet on this Wednesday show. And my best bet for this Wednesday show, it is not going to be Cleveland. For the first time in a couple of shows. So just throwing that out there right now that it will not be Cleveland. For me, it's going to be those shining Suns of Phoenix. 3.5 right now against New Orleans. I like the way they're playing right now. I don't like the way, like, you lose to Sacramento, there's something wrong. I know Sacramento had a nice little road trip there, but not playing at the level Phoenix is, and that's trouble. Playing this Suns team right now. So for me, I'll go with Phoenix minus 3.5 against New Orleans. I probably was going to use Miami, but the line's creeped up at 8. I'd probably use it 9.5. I'm going to keep that, but I like Miami a lot tonight as well against Washington. So for me, Phoenix minus 3.5 against New Orleans for my best bet here on the NBA Closing Time Show. That'll wrap it up. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. We will be back with you for the next NBA Closing Time Show on Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. For Skee Profit, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck in NBA action. We'll see you Friday for the NBA Closing Time Show. And tomorrow, reminder, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific, Super Bowl prop show. Join us for that right here on Pub Sports Radio.